You're listening to another episode of the Coaster101 podcast. I'm Andrew Stillwell, and I'm joined this week by my fellow member on the Coaster101 team, Nick Weisenberger. Nick, how's it going?
Pretty good. Good to be back. How are you?
I'm great. So we've got a unique show this week. We are actually joined by three members of the TPEG Alumni Community, and if you don't know what the TPEG Alumni Community is, you're about to find out. Please welcome to the podcast, Kirsten Szydlowski, Carissa Vance, and Tiffani DuScheid. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Great. So the three of you participate, and we're in college, and you're members of various theme park engineering groups. For those listening, can you talk about a little bit of what TPEG and the acronym TPEG means?
So we were all part of the TPEG club at Ohio State. It stands for Theme Park Engineering Group. So it's a student organization full of students who have a shared passion for the themed entertainment industry. And throughout the school year, they host industry professionals as guest speakers, do industry-related projects, and go on park trips, and also host the annual Students in Themed Entertainment Conference. And they have the shared goal of helping each other network and gain the skills needed to get their dream job in the industry.
But even though it says engineering in the title, you don't actually have to be an engineer to participate in the group. Is that correct?
Correct. You do not have to be an engineer. So in college, I was not studying engineering, but I went to the club anyway because my sister had so much fun, and I met another girl in the group who she was studying marketing at the time. And so then we ended up working together later on. So it's starting to grow into more and more different fields, and that's really exciting because I think at first a lot of these clubs at all these different colleges, they had students that were all in engineering, and now we're starting to see little branches and pockets pop up in business and theater and all different areas of what people are studying and how it can relate to the industry.
I wish something like this existed when I was in college.
Yes,
and I mean,
totally.
With the three of you, I mean, what's kind of your background? How did you kind of get your first interest in the themed entertainment space?
So for me, I grew up about an hour north of Kings Island, so it was very much going to Kings Island and Cedar Point growing up. A few trips here and there down south to Disney World, and then it just kind of hit me in the face one day, like around third grade. We had to do a project for school, and it was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? The typical question everybody has to answer. But this one, they made us dive deeper into it of how you're going to get that job. And I just came across this random chat on this random website about Disney Imagineering. And I was like, whoa, what's that? And I had always taken apart Legos, I knew I wanted to become an engineer of some kind, of designing stuff, figuring out how it works. And when I saw this, I was like, this is my thing. I love Disney. I love roller coasters. I love making stuff. Why not? And then especially once I got into college, my freshman year, my very first day, I met a friend on this project running this competition as well, Hannah Barnes, on my very first day of college, and we had the exact same dream. And I didn't know Theme Park Engineering Group existed until I was walking around in the involvement fair, and I was like, oh, I found my people. I'm joining this club. And from there, it sparked so much. I thought I knew a lot, but come to find out, I didn't know much at all. I learned so much from the roller coaster enthusiasts who go from amusement park to amusement park to the theme park enthusiasts on knowing anything from shows to the storylines and unique attractions, and it really blew up from there.
So you mean to tell me that, roller coaster and theme park enthusiasts are kind of nerdy people and they're just kind of filled with facts? I'm shocked by this revelation.
What?
Tiffani, what about you? Same deal?
Very similar. Grew up going to theme parks, loving it. And I think in the back of my mind, I always wanted to work, but I think I just kind of forgot about it for some reason. But I was always obsessed with telling stories and connecting people with people in that way. And then one summer I got a job at my local zoo, Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, and it kind of just reignited that passion for hospitality and realizing, wait, I could work in a place where people want to come to have fun and just excite people and transport them into not only a magical story, but somewhere where they're the character and they can walk around in this immersive world. And I didn't join TPEG until I was a junior in college because my sister, she is studying engineering, who's also on this team, Tiffani DuScheid, and she was telling me all about this fun theme park and all these cool roller coaster fans. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, can I join? She's like, I don't know. I was like, well, I'm going to come anyway. And she was like, okay, come see what it's all about. And it was just awesome. And I met all these awesome people. We met Abigail Irwin, who's also on this team, and we did design competitions, and it was just an awesome bunch of people.
I love it. And the three of you, you've since graduated, and you're all working in the industry in some capacity now, right?
Well, Carissa and Kirsten, they just graduated, so big congrats to those two.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're still trying to navigate our way and finding the next opportunity to get inside the industry after interning and everything, but especially with COVID hitting and us graduating this past December, it's definitely been a challenge.
Got it. Well, I'm not going to plug somebody else here, but you're guys familiar with the TETV? We had them on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. It's like the themed entertainment television. They're always on the constant search to help people get into the industry and kind of break down that glass ceiling for a lot of people. So definitely I'll put you in touch with them after this podcast. But
awesome. Thank you.
Tiffani, you're working in the themed entertainment industry right now, aren't you? How vital would you say it was being involved in TPEG to getting your career within the industry?
Oh my God, so vital. I think the best thing you can have when you are applying for all these jobs, and no matter what industry you're looking in, but especially this one, because it is so personable and because everybody kind of knows everybody, if you can build a strong support team of people who also want to be in this industry and people who are passionate and will support you, and you can send your resumes to and just really rely on. That's what me and Stephanie and Hannah did when we did the college program together after we had done some other internships. And we had a day of the week where, if we weren't working every week, we would sit together and we would figure out meet and greet notes. So we would look at resumes and we would just kind of help each other out. And so I think just having that support system, that's the biggest difference in the world.
Networking, basically. You're saying networking is very important in getting a job in the industry.
Yeah, I think peer-to-peer networking sometimes goes unnoticed. And that's going to be a really big differentiator because, when your friends go off and do amazing, basically just surround yourself with really smart friends. And when they go off and do amazing things, they'll call you up and see what they're up to. That's who I called to help me when I thought of this competition. I said, well, who are smartest people I know and who would really be interested in helping the current generation of students really excel at something? And so that's who I grabbed to work on this project.
So you mentioned that the competitions, and that's the main reason for having you guys on the show today. So let's talk a little bit about last year's competition and where did the idea come from, and how did the whole thing get started?
Yes. So I was sitting at home, as many of us were last April, and I was just so overwhelmed by all the bad news that I was constantly seeing on Facebook and Instagram of people, losing their jobs, losing internships. It was just a lot. And so I was sitting here thinking, well, gee, I'm sitting at home. There has to be something that I can do. And I remember how when I was in college, I would do a lot of design competitions and how valuable those were when I was applying for different jobs. And I said, all right, so if everybody lost an internship, something I can do is provide a creative platform where people can make something and really hone their skills over the summer, which is what they would have done in an internship anyway. But that way, it's a creative energy so people can kind of pull their resources, pull their friends, make something. So that way, when they do have an internship, maybe next year when things, are better, they can bring that to someone and say, look what I made. And it was just so exciting seeing all the things that the students made. They actually, some of them told us that a bunch of them got together after the contest ended last year and they presented their projects to each other. Like that wasn't even something that we fostered. They were just so excited to network with each other and share their success. So the fact that we were able to provide a platform for those students that's what it's all about.
That's awesome. And I mean, when doing a contest, especially for the first time, there are certainly lessons to be learned in the meantime? I mean, what was your biggest takeaway from that first competition? And, what did you see that was where there was room for improvement? Not necessarily things you wanted to fix, but where there was room for improvement.
Oh, absolutely. It was very interesting being on the side of judging projects rather than submitting a project. So I think just learning about all the different ways someone can do a project, and all the different questions that come along with it. So I remember we hadn't planned ahead if people wanted to submit videos. And so then we had to figure out, well, how are they going to submit them? How are they going to turn them in? So it was just being so amazed of the depth of work that everybody was going to turn into us. And then new this summer, which Kirsten and Carissa are helping out with, we are going to also have a guest speaker series. So we have some industry professionals where if you sign up for the competition, you will have exclusive access to come to these panels. We're going to have 4 this summer, and so students can network with them. So we're going to have a marketing panel, a life coach presentation, an engineering panel, and also a question and answer session with our industry professionals. So just finding more ways to learn and grow and really provide those experiences that, we're still waiting on coming back.
That's awesome. With these panels for the upcoming competition, are you at liberty to name names of who some of these industry pros are?
Yeah, it's all on the website right now. So we've got professionals from the Walt Disney Company, Universal, Animax, Kentucky Kingdom, ETC Lighting, Cedar Point, Kirsten, Chris, am I missing anybody? It's that networking piece again. It's all people that we've worked with or we've met along the way, who we just consider great peers and great friends. So we just, and those people too, what's great about this industry is I've never met anybody who isn't interested in sharing their story and isn't interested in giving back to the people that want to get there next.
So Kirsten and Carissa, what can you tell us about the 2021 competition? Do you guys have a prompt yet?
So we do. This prompt has to do with the elements. Big surprise. So what we're going to have is you're going to have the 4 main options of water, air, earth, and fire. And for the main theme of your whole design of all the specifications that will be put on the website later, you have to choose 2 elements to include in your entire design.
Are you limited to 2, or can you do all 4? Can you do like a big Captain Planet IP project?
So definitely coming from those learning curves from last competition, which I was not a judge for because I was still in school. But what Tiffani had kind of brought up and what we discussed a few weeks ago coming up with this prompt was it will be just 2 elements, kind of along the lines of how generic and also how specific you can get with designing. We want the commonality between every team to be 2 elements.
So are there any other big changes from last year's competition?
I think the major thing is we were going to limit the number of slides in everyone's presentation, because one of the things they had said last year was that some of them ran a little long. And then she also mentioned including videos, so we will have an option for that this year, and all the details will be on the website.
Nice.
Okay. So who's eligible to participate and enter the competition? Just current college students? Or?
Yeah, so anyone who's going into college in the fall or anyone who graduated within the past year.
Okay, and they'll be able to enter the contest by going to the website, which we'll put in the show notes.
Yeah, and you do not have to be studying engineering either to enter. It can be any majors, and we really encourage people to find people who aren't in the same major as them, because you can really learn a lot, and that creativity in your project, it's just going to be amazing. You also, and we know, summers are tough when people are traveling, so you don't have to work with someone else, but we do recommend that people work with at least one other person, because you're going to be doing a lot. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot.
Is there a limit on the maximum size of the team you can have?
You can have a maximum of 5.
5 people.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other tips? And Kirsten and Chris, are y'all on the judging panel? And Tiffani, you're on the judging panel this year. What are some insider tips and tricks and not necessarily hints that you would give anybody who was going to participate, but what would be something they could do to make their project stand out?
Easily, the first thing that comes to mind is get a diverse team. Don't choose a team of 5 mechanical engineers. Don't choose a team of 5 people who are all kind of studying the same thing. You very much want like an ideal, an artist, a mechanical engineer, an industrial systems engineer, something with business, and maybe a duplicate of one of those. You very much want to range, one, for all of our minds kind of think differently, but also two, the stuff you want to actually submit for your project, you want that to all be very unique as well. Like the option for the video, that's one thing that, especially with you guys, Coaster101, that's come into this generation is making videos. There's so many YouTubers out there now that we want to include that in the project when people are just really good at making like a marketing video of the project they've put together. So definitely get a diverse team.
But in addition to what Carissa said, there's no set major that you need to have. Like, you don't need to tick a box. You could have somebody in journalism. You could have someone in dance. You could have someone in geometry. Just the main thing is just get people that are different from you and learn something new along the way.
That's right. I love that. That's, I mean, coming from a diverse background is huge. And I know the industry as a whole is kind of, I don't want to say it's like pigeonholed, but as you guys like create a future for this program and, to get more people in the industry. And I asked this, there's, we're interviewing 3 women right now. So what does it mean to the 3 of you to be kind of that next generation of the theme park industry?
I don't know about you guys, but I feel fantastic. Especially I had a very rough time in high school, being the only female in the engineering classes we had, which I was very blessed to have the opportunity to take engineering classes in high school. But in high school, which is such a kind of segmented social place, it was very hard for me to be the only female in those classes. And then I was excited, ready to go to Ohio State. I was starting out in the women's and engineering learning community, so I got to live in the dorm with a lot of female engineers. And then I was so excited, and I got to class, and I was still maybe one of 30 ladies in a class of 120 students. Which definitely made it a challenge when it came to, like I mentioned earlier, and having a diverse team on developing this project and designing. We all think very differently. So when you're put on group projects for these classes that mean so much to your grade, and you're the only woman and just think differently from everyone else, it's very, very hard to kind of be heard with your different ideas just because that's how you think. So I am definitely personally very excited to be a part of this generation and have met so many of these wonderful fellow ladies through Theme Park Engineering Group at Ohio State. So definitely yes.
That's awesome. What are the going back to the competition, or what's the timeline here? I know we're in the middle of May, getting into summer, but what are your important dates and timeline?
So the registration will close on June 1st, and I believe your projects have to be in by August 1st, but please make sure to check the website for all finite dates. But at this point in time, the registration is open, so if you're interested, check out that website and grab some friends and see what you can make.
How does the registration process work? It's anonymous, right? Like the judges don't know what school the students go to. They don't know the names or anything like that. So it's completely anonymous.
We want you to be as anonymous as possible. At the very end, when we're packaging up the emails, because we do give feedback to everyone who competes, because it's a learning opportunity at the end of the day. So that's the first time we ever look and see what school they're from, who submitted it, what year they're in, what majors they are. So you just sign up on the website. There's a tab to compete, and it'll take you to the form that you'll fill out. And it's as easy as that. Most of the time, you're just going to be creating with your friends.
Last year, I had the pleasure of interviewing Team 31,
Yes.
who was the competition winner. Yeah, if you go to Coaster101.com and if you search TPEG or Team 31, you'll find the article that we did, and we'll also link to it in the show notes. But the thing that really blew me away about the team that won last year is their attention to detail was crazy. And you're reading their presentation, and it feels like it could be like they were pitching a real theme park, like they were about to build a real place.
Yeah.
So like they went into so much detail about from everything down to the food you would eat and the gifts you could buy and just everything, even like the back of house operations kind of stuff. So it was just really like that's the thing that blew me away more than anything was just that attention to detail.
I tell you, it was so hard to pick because, you know, we had never done a competition like this before, and we weren't sure how many people were going to compete or what people were going to turn in. But the quality of work by every single person, oh my gosh. Every single time I opened a new presentation, we were all texting each other, have you seen this? Have you seen this? It was just incredible. Like, everyone who competed should be so proud because, geez, if that's the future of this industry, my goodness, we're going to have really fun places to go to.
That's awesome. That's exciting to hear. So what you're saying is if you're going to enter this year, you better bring your A game. You better step it up a level.
Yes, they already... they already exceeded my expectations. Now they gotta really.
And Nick, I'm revisiting this article while you were talking about it. I mean, the team who won last year, Team 31, it was 4 engineering students, but they were at Central Florida and Cal Poly Pomona.
They had never even met before the competition too. That was crazy.
Wait, what? I didn't catch that.
They had never met, and then they're like, "Hey, you guys want to enter this together?" Like, okay.
Wow, that's even more impressive.
And they did it from 4 different states.
Yeah, so they never met in person. They did it all virtually. It's crazy.
Wow.
Right? They're incredible.
All right, Nick, you're gonna time to re-enroll in undergrad for the summer. I'll do the same. We'll get .edu email addresses, and we're gonna enter this contest. Kirsten and Carissa, you didn't hear me say that. Never mind. What's a piece of advice the three of you could get or could give a student with an interest in theme parks whose college or university may or may not have this kind of a dedicated TPEG club? How do they find their people?
I know Carissa's been able to go to a couple conferences. Maybe she can. I'm just going to call you out because I know you've been able to go to those and I haven't.
That's all right.
Very jealous of those experiences. They sound amazing.
So I'm very thankful that about my 3rd, 4th year of college, it took me 5.5 to graduate just because taking the time off to do the internships and all these experiences, which, separate plug, I recommend 100%. If that means you have to take just 1 semester off of college, it will be worth it. You are going to learn so much. But I was able to go through a bunch of conferences. That 3rd and 4th year, we got a group of us who were just very ambitious and decided to travel to San Diego, Houston, down to Orlando to attend both ASTM and IAPA, which are 2 things I definitely recommend you looking into. IAPA is down in Orlando. It's a huge, basically, selling point for the theme park industry. It's where a lot of people from your bigger companies who own these theme parks go around and literally shop. They shop for new roller coasters. They shop for animatronics. They shop for things so detailed you'd have no idea unless you attended IAPA, where there's a free arcade section because they want you to buy these arcade games. And going to these conferences, you meet so many people, your mind is blown and exhausted by the end of the night to get up and do it again the next day. You end up having stacks of business cards that you end up going through eventually, and it just definitely makes you feel like home, because I don't know about anyone else, but talking to the family, they're like, oh cool, you like theme parks, but how's that going to be a career? Well, let me just tell you, ASTM is a huge conference for safety. So all these safety standards that every single park has to abide by has all these professionals who are designing new parks. So they need to stay updated and have input in all these safety standards, all the way down to students who are just interested in learning these safety standards and networking. Through networking through these conferences, I've personally known 2 people to go back to their schools where they don't have a theme park engineering group and start it themselves. They go to a professor that they love and they're like, look, so I just went to this conference. It was so cool. I met all these great people. I want to start this club here so I can help other students. And it happens. It might only have 4 people the first year, maybe 2, but I can almost guarantee with our interest in this industry, in 3 years or so, that club would have grown so much, and there will be students later on that will be so thankful that you started that club for them. You just got to do it. You got to have the guts to be the first one to do it, but it is definitely worth it.
Yeah, I can, having been to IAP a couple of years, it is overwhelming in the world's greatest way. Like, you walk in and it's like it hits you in the face. It's like there's a roller coaster on one side of the room, and then there's a ropes course on the other side, and then there's the fog machine guy and people in mascot suits, and every roller coaster. Dippin' Dots. Free Dippin' Dots. Also very key. And beaver tails, too. We can't, this is not sponsored content, but every park needs beaver tails. To wrap up here, I want each of the three of you, and Carissa, I will start with you. Give us your best elevator sales pitch as to why somebody should participate in this TPEG alumni competition.
If you have ever had interest in making your own theme park, everything that you could ever imagine, no budget in mind, you should definitely try out this competition. You're going to meet new people, you're going to talk to industry professionals, and like I said, you'll be able to design whatever your childhood wanted you to design, your dream theme park. That's all I got.
Love it.
Pretty good.
Okay. Kirsten, your turn.
So blue sky is the best part of any project. I think everyone in the industry would agree with that. So this competition allows you to take all of your blue sky ideas and put them together and make something amazing that you can show off in your networking and in your professional portfolio. So it'll help you in the future and it'll be fun in the now.
Perfect. And Tiffany, bring us home.
Oh gosh, those two were really good. I gotta think now. They took all
Closer.
my points. You guys really took everybody. I would say if you've ever just wanted to learn something new and learn from some friends, grab a computer, grab some paper, and start designing.
Short, sweet, simple, to the point. Well, Kirsten, Carissa, Tiffany, thank you all so much. For those listening, I know we're going to include it in the show notes, but what is the website people need to head to find this competition?
It is at tpegalumnicommunity.weebly.com.
Wonderful. So if you're listening, you're a college student, or you said within 1 year of graduation, right?
Correct. Or you're starting college in the fall. You just know what you want to do.
I love it. So if you're in that age bracket, and I know a good portion of our listeners are, check this out, tpegalumnicommunity.weebly.com.
You got it.
And enter the contest. It will be a blast. You could be like Team 31 last year, who didn't even know each other and then managed to put together an amazing detail-oriented product that was seen by industry professionals, and it went from there. So it's always great to see it. But again, thank you to the three of you for your time. That's going to do it for this week's podcast. As always, make sure to check out our website. We are at Coaster101.com. We're also at Coaster101 everywhere you can find social media. Make sure if you're listening to this podcast, you're also liking, rating, reviewing, subscribing, telling your friends, telling your enemies. I don't care at this point. Just I want people to listen. If you got questions, comments, concerns, or ideas for Nick and I to sneak into the TPEG alumni competition, feel free to send us an email at podcast@coaster101.com. Thanks, as always, to JM Music Design for our theme music, and we will talk to y'all again next week. See ya.